Hi everyone, welcome to Wellsome, a podcast where wellness meets self-development. I am Vicky, and together we're going to dive deep into real conversations about health and self-development. So in today's topic, I really wanted to touch base with you guys something that has been discussed so much, not only on social media, but also in the wellness industry, which is biohacking. What does biohacking really means? There's a lot of misconception and a lot of buzz around this word and around longevity in general. So today I have the pleasure to interview Dr. Elie.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to
Welcome
see
to
you.
the
Thank
podcast.
you for having me.
Dr. Elie is a doctor specialized in biohacking and health strategy, and basically is helping thousands of clients to not only reach their overall health, but also to push their lifespan a little bit longer, isn't it?
Healthy aging.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. So, Dr. Elie, thank you so much for being here. Before diving into the world of, biohacking and longevity,
Yes.
I really want to ask you, which is your story? So, how do you decide to jump into the health and wellness world? There was maybe like a point in your life where you decided that this was your purpose. Tell us about it.
Yes. So interesting you asked this question because until recently, I didn't really think about it that much. But as I was doing some work on myself, mentally trying to release certain trauma and all of that, because I'm constantly kind of doing these things,
that's
obviously.
amazing.
I realized that it goes back all the way down to my younger teenage years. I'm from Lebanon, as you know, and at the time I was living in Lebanon, and as it is right now, the situation is not great.
Yeah.
There's always something happening. At the time, it was a particularly bad time, and as a young boy, I was popular with trying to get me into different situations, and I got involved a lot more in physical activity. So I really jumped into staying fit, pull-ups, whatever I could put my hand on, I would do. And I realized now that it was an act of self-preservation. It was an act of staying as strong as possible in a situation that was impossible.
Yeah.
So I worked hard on that. And as the years passed by, I continuously continued to do that. I had an innate desire to stay as fit as I possibly can. I was intuitively watching what I'm eating. So without a plan, really, it became a lifestyle. And as time passed by, lost both my parents at the same year. That was kind of like another kick to kind of say, you need to watch out to this precious thing that you have that is health. And the rest is history, basically. So I began to continuously work on myself. And so I was doing it before the term was a term.
Yeah.
I began discovering a lot more once I started running marathons and climbing mountains and doing triathlons and other things like that. And I began kind of seeing that my body needed an extra edge. And I found that in biohacking and in finding modalities to optimize myself and optimize my performance. Again, before anything was really out there. So after a very exciting life, very fortunate, I returned back to Dubai 3 to 4 years ago, and I set up Restore, it's a biohacking center where we do recovery modalities and many other things, and also a biohacking store. And It's been amazing. So, sort of it right at the boom of all of this, and I'm very fortunate.
Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
And actually, what I really found so interesting that every person in the wellness industry I'm talking to, basically they reach a point where it was, for example, a traumatic event or maybe they like a breakthrough. They had this aha moment and they decided to enter the wellness world like this. So
Yes.
this is a common ground for many people that now they work and they decided to be part of the wellness world. So this is very interesting that was similar to your story as
Yeah.
well.
So you either decide to do it yourself or your body makes you do it
True.
later. So
True.
it's one of the two. You have to, it's ideal if you do it yourself and you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You want to call it the wellness industry, the well-being industry, you want to call it call it anything you want as long as you do it.
Yeah.
So a name means nothing. It's really how you feel, how good your body is being taken care of. How is your microbiome? How is your immunity? How is your headspace? How your muscle mass? All of that stuff, without making it something that's overbearing or
Absolutely.
work.
Absolutely. Yeah, which is not becoming stressful in a way.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
So now I really want to define with you the word biohacking.
Sure.
Because there's, as I said, there's a lot of buzz and a lot of misconception around this word. And sometimes we think about biohacking as plunges and sauna. So we related the word to specific practices.
Right.
But I want to define with you what really biohacking means.
Yeah. So for me, biohacking is a lot more complicated than that. Plunge pools, saunas, all of that, they're all tools and they're all great
Yeah.
in their own right if used correctly and if you're educated about them. But biohacking for me is understanding your internal environment as well as your external one. What is influencing you, negatively or positively, and then making adjustments along the way through different modalities. It could be anything. It could be through supplementation, through adaptogens, through whole foods. It could be through sleep. It could be all sorts of stuff. And to make sure that you're optimized in any environment. And they're little hacks, or I would want to call them habits that you will get into. Let's say when you're flying, you would do certain things to make sure that when you land, you're not in jet lag or tired or whatever. These are kind of the hacks.
Yeah.
So it's not as glamorous as most people think. It's really lots of little things that you do, and it starts with awareness of your own body and awareness of the environment
Yeah.
that you are immersed in.
Yeah.
Because we are the product of our environment.
True.
So we react to the dust in Dubai, we react to the heat, we react to the water, we react to the nature that is here, we react to the social determinants that we're surrounded with. So all of these contribute to who we are as a biological being.
Yeah.
Be it someone stressed or healthy or sleeping well or not,
Yeah.
or, all of these different things. So by understanding and making slight adjustments along the way, that's a biohacker.
Yeah.
And it starts all with the fact that someone asks a question. Like
Yeah.
you become a biohacker when you ask yourself, what is biohacking?
Interesting.
So that's the entrance to it.
Yeah. And I really love that you point out two things that for me are fundamental. The first one is that sometimes we underestimate the power that our environment has on our body.
Yeah.
Because my body can perform in a certain way when I'm in Dubai and differently where I'm, for example, in Italy or in US, depending on the air, the food, etc. And this is something that is so underestimated, but it is so important. And the second point is that, and I really want to talk to you about this, is you said very well, like it's not a glamorous things to do that we see maybe on social media that everyone is doing probably the same thing.
Yeah.
It becomes real when you really know your bio-individuality.
Correct. So the ultimate thing here that, a lot of us have known and humanity in general have known, that we are all one.
Yeah.
We are one with the environment. We are one with Earth. We are one with each other. We are all one. We are part of the same system. So it only makes sense that we react to our environment, and the environment influences us.
Yeah.
We are not separate. We are one.
Yeah.
So the body is very well equipped to adjust and make adjustment, but sometimes it needs help.
Yeah.
So we just need to be aware of certain things, and they're really, more or less basic. Meaning like our water intake, our hydration intake, I want to say, not just water, because that's
Yeah.
an important distinction. The food that you put into our body, that's the fuel that it asks for. The movement, that's the body asks for that, because our bodies are made for movement. So the way you move in one place versus another makes a difference.
True.
Here, for example, in Dubai, if you are near the beach, you are exposed to different ions. You're exposed to sea air. You have more dust. So that's something that you take into account as a biohacker.
Yeah.
And most people do it intuitively without really thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's like it's not someone wakes up in the morning and says, "I'm going to be biohacking the beach today." You go there and you put a hat on, you put sunscreen, you make sure you have extra water. That's biohacking. So you're finding ways for you to be optimized in a certain environment.
Yeah.
And even though we have a bio individuality, we are completely in touch with each other too. So we share microbiomes. Now, sitting in this room here, you and I are exchanging microbiomes. Every door handle you touch, you are basically touching every person that touched that door handle. So we are always interacting with each other without interacting directly, the normal idea of interacting.
Yeah.
So we're exchanging bacteria, we're exchanging air, we're exchanging, skin cells, all sorts of things. So, however, and that's the beauty of things, we are unique and perfect in our own way. We are born to be healthy, not to be sick. Our natural state is health and not sickness. Because of the choices, because of certain things that sometimes we think they're outside of our reach,
Yeah.
we become sick. But our natural state is not sickness. We are made that this perfect organism that is incredibly complex, and we barely scratch the surface of the complexity of how things work, be it from the brain to how the microbiome works and how it interacts and nervous system and so many other things. That is an incredible thing that is made to last. And the beauty of it, I feel like in any piece of art, it's that it is resilient yet fragile at the same time. So it's a contradiction. And I love walking that line because the body does it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The body is constantly at a battle.
Yeah, that's so interesting and powerful. Yeah, that's a very nice concept, and I completely agree with you. And the fact that you brought it up, I think it's very valuable. And now it comes to my mind to ask you, for example, let's say that there is a person that wants to approach biohacking, but it wants to generally just, maybe it's not into wellness, but wants to start to take care of himself or herself by doing conscious choices that maybe leads this person to become healthier and live longer by consequence.
Yeah.
So where, for example, if I'm a person and I don't know where to start, what would you recommend?
So as I said earlier, the moment that you start questioning, like, where do I start? You've already started.
Yeah.
So most people, when they say that to me, I say, you're there, you've started. Now, what is the next step? The next step for me is open your mind.
Oof,
Open your
tell me
mind.
about it.
Say it out loud that you don't know what you don't know. Open your mind. And then as you begin to explore, don't immediately judge certain things. So what I'm trying to say is that it starts with the mind. Because you can get motivated to sign up to a gym, you can get motivated to eat a little healthier, you can get motivated to sleep a little earlier, etc. But without discipline, without the mental encouragement, without you being excited about it, you don't stick with it. And we see it with
Makes
a lot of
sense.
people
Yeah.
all the time. This wave of gym signups in January, and then it dies away within weeks,
Yeah.
and other things like that. How many diets that people go on and off, and or trying to sleep early, or find peace, inner peace, to meditate, to breathe, to drink better, to reduce alcohol, to reduce oxidants in general. Change your mind first. Start
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
As the mind becomes healthier, it becomes a cycle then.
Yeah.
Because the mind pushes the body, then the body pushes the mind, and then that cycle starts to reap or produce dividends that are endless. You're always in tune. You know that your body is sending you signals. If you have a particular type of discomfort, you immediately or intuitively know that the body is talking to me. It's telling
Yeah.
me, do something about
Yeah.
this. Be it bloating, be it lower back pain, be it neck pain, be it numbness in the arm, be it a brain fog, all sorts of things like that. Knee pain, all of these things, your body is telling you something is up. Take care of it. And it's a little bit more complicated than you think. If the pain is in the knee, it doesn't necessarily that the knee is bad. It's most likely because it's overcompensating for something else that is happening in your body. So understand the complexity of it, explore it, do different things, keep it strong, build muscle, help it reset and restore and recover. Bring these together and you will reap so many benefits.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And also, I like that you said that it's all about discipline and consistency, and it's about also the mindset. Because if you have an open mindset and you're willing to also accept, to be curious about what is the next step, probably this is the most valuable step that you can take for yourself.
Indeed, because sometimes we self-sabotage.
Yeah.
We become the victim. I'm overweight. I'm never going to lose this.
Yeah.
I started gym, but I could never stick with it. And that's it. We accept that situation.
Yeah.
Simply because it's easier.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
So easy things are not necessarily the best for you.
True.
So getting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, experiencing a little DOMS or muscle pain, stopping yourself from eating your favorite dessert once in a while, all of these different things, they cause a little bit of discomfort. But then we find excuses why to do them. Oh, I deserve to eat this. But you deserve to be healthy too.
True.
You deserve your blood sugar to be lower too.
Yeah.
You deserve not to have diabetes at the age of 40. You
Yeah.
deserve not to be carried into the bathroom when you're 60. You deserve not to be bathed by your children when you're 70. You deserve to stay strong until you're ready to expire. That's what you deserve. So when you begin to think about and love yourself and stop self-sabotaging yourself and value the body for what it is and who you are as a being, and that's why I like to use the word more well-being rather than wellness, because it's encompassing. When you think of wellness, you think all of the modalities that we talk about,
Yeah.
be it a massage or ice bath or this or that, or yoga, but when it comes to well-being, it's a world. It's everything that revolves around you, your social interactions, the people you connect with, your job security, the environment that you live in, as we said earlier, social determinants, living in a place that is safe, for example, which most people take for granted.
True.
Having opportunities to have work, to be creative, to create something like what you're doing here is awesome. Having an inspiration, but also alongside that, movement is life. Motion is lotion. Have you heard that before?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So there's a lot of things that motion, movement, building muscle that contributes so much to your health. And then obviously nourishment and hydration. Take care of these. It's not that complicated. Moderation, balance, being aware, appreciate and love your body, and help it to become the best that it can be.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, and I read recently a sentence somewhere that said, the moment you're stepping into the hospital and maybe you have an issue and you have a disease, it didn't start there. It started many years before.
Absolutely.
Because probably you didn't take care enough of like specific things that maybe your body were already screaming about. You have pain, but you avoid that, or maybe you had, I don't know, maybe you have rashes in your arm, but you said no, it's nothing. So you were kind of like not acknowledging what your body wanted to tell you.
Correct.
Do you think that the approach to biohacking can change depending on the gender? So if I'm a woman, I should embrace certain practices, and if a man should maybe embrace others compared to
No, not really. There are certain things that you need to pay attention to because we have slightly different biologies.
Yeah.
Our hormones are slightly different.
Yeah, that's one
So
I
you
want.
approach them in a slightly different way. So certain discomfort or mild stressors, as I call them, or hormesis, which is something that happens when you go into a sauna or when you go into an ice bath. For a man, it may be a little easier to do them,
Yeah.
or more or less they could do them anytime. But for women, they should be a little bit more aware of when they're doing them. But also for men in general, if you're stressed, you don't add more stress to yourself. You do
Exactly.
something else. So being aware of how you do it is important. But as major differences, no, not really. There are
Okay.
slight differences in protocols when you apply. If you put a workout plan for yourself, you should be putting also a biohacking or a recovery plan for yourself too.
Yeah.
Just as important, they work hand in hand. Growth happen when you're allowing your body to reduce inflammation, deal with it, help with your nervous system, etc. So there are slight differences, but they're not significant.
Okay, because I heard from also my experience that, for example, when we're talking about cold plunges, the temperature actually makes the difference depending if I'm a woman doing that or a man doing that. So what do you think about it? Is it going to impact women's hormone?
To a point, but in general, not really.
Okay.
But depending on the cycle, there are certain parts of the cycle that an ice bath is not ideal. So, simply put, for both men and women, if you are in a stressful situation,
Yeah.
that your body is under stress, you do not do a modality that may add to that stress. That's the general rule.
Yeah.
So you what you want to do is try to relieve that stress a little bit. So I would find an activity that is slightly different than that for the time being until my body adjusts
Yeah.
to it. So being in tune to the body and say, I'm not doing it because it's cool or because it's there. It's the same with picking that dessert.
Yeah.
You're still finding the easiest way, but
Yeah.
instead be thoughtful about what you're doing,
Yeah.
and understand what is happening in your body.
Yeah.
So when you are at a time where your body is already under stress, for example, now with the heat and the dust and all of that, and maybe you're overworked and you're doing this, you've done so much, and then you don't just jump into the ice bath after that. So
Of course.
ideally, what you would want to do is maybe a sauna. It's much more relaxing with a breath work to it. Maybe some red light, with some breath work or movement in front of it, be it yoga or stretching or anything like that. There are so many different modalities that you can do
Yeah.
instead of that,
Yeah.
based on what's happening within your system.
Yeah. And I love that we're also having this conversation because what I really want people to understand, and thank you so much for clarifying all of that, is that sometimes what we see on social media and seems like a trend, we don't really need necessarily to apply it just because we saw it somewhere. For example, as you said, there are moments where you feel like cold plunging and sauna, but there are moments where your body is not prepared for it, or just maybe just going for a walk at Kite Beach or in the nature. It was way more powerful than cold plunging and sauna, just because you see people doing that on a daily basis, just for this maybe the sake of content. So what I really like about this, I mean, the conversation that you're having, is that you're basically underlining the fact that we're so bio individual and we need to listen to our body more, and maybe explore things as cold plunge and sauna. That's amazing, but in a way that it's good for us.
That's so true. That's so true. Because we need to also be a little more vigilant and a little more picky where we're getting our information from.
Yeah.
Because you need to understand, what is the motivation of the source. Is the motivation of the source clicks, your like, or is the motivation of the source to authentically give you information
Yeah.
that you may find useful? And even with that, I will look at more than one source. Unfortunately, anything that looks good or special or a little bit different than the norm, people start to capitalize on it. And it's human nature. There's nothing we have to accept. But when I'm using this for my own health, I need to be a little more discerning and look at things from a little bit more of a critical eye and say to myself, what is the motivation of this person? And the same applies to things such as supplements or
Yeah.
anything that's trying to push something onto you. Is their number one priority your health, or is their number one priority their pockets or their bottom line or their brand? So Most, unfortunately, is the latter, not the first. So most brands, some are, I know quite a few that I work with, that their priority is that because they understand that if I prioritize people's health because that's what I'm in, the money will come.
Yeah,
It should not be the money that is my priority and jeopardize people's perception of things.
yeah,
And sometimes they do it unintentionally, and sometimes they do. But in general, it's human nature. We all have it. It's not something to judge or,
absolutely.
we've all done things. The whole idea behind it is that be a little more discerning yourself
Yeah,
and understand the motivation of things happening to you, and open your mind.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor, I know for fact that you're not a huge fan of the word longevity.
Yes.
I couldn't wait to ask you why, and that's the moment.
Yeah, so it's being thrown around quite a bit.
Yeah,
And if the goal of someone using the word longevity is simply to live longer, that for me doesn't compute. It's not something that I can endorse or stand behind. Living longer exclusively is not a goal.
yeah,
It has so many other implications. If your goal is to try to live longer with health, means age with health, that's a different perspective. But when I am, I'm someone who sells water and now I'm selling longevity water, it's not really, so now it's being added into anything.
yeah,
So I like to call it healthy aging. That's what I like to call it because age without health is meaningless. It's equal to pain, equal to
true.
misery, equal to humiliation. We see it, with our elders. So it's not just about living longer, it's about living healthier.
Makes sense.
So, and then there is the whole concept is so new that we haven't really explored what the world would look like. Let's say if everyone lived to 120, how would it look like? What about resources? What about earth? What about the environment? How is it really possible to do that? Now we have grown over the decades from one, age, sort of average age of expiring.
Yeah,
That is growing, and we're dealing with it. So it's not something that you do over a single lifetime, and it could be something achievable, but it is meaningless if it is without health.
absolutely.
So it's just, I am not a fan of the word being added to anything. A
Yeah,
longevity shoe and a longevity water and a longevity dentist and a longevity this and a
yeah,
longevity that. So I think it's being undermined.
yeah, yeah. That's a very interesting point of view. I've never thought about it, but actually it makes a lot of sense because you can extend your lifespan, but if you don't have the quality, life quality, you're just extending potentially pain or just
Exactly.
something that is not really working. So absolutely, maybe longevity needs to go hand in hand with health and care and well-being.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
with the definition of in medicine for someone to be alive,
Yeah.
you can right now you can literally stay alive forever. They can put you on a machine and use the definition of what is it to be alive forever.
Yeah.
So is this what you would want to call longevity for yourself? So I would focus more on, again, balance the now, take care of yourself now, forget about, and it's part of human nature that we don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah. And we
We're
want to
afraid,
control.
we're afraid of death, we're afraid of all of this, and it's one of our motivators
Yeah.
sometimes, or demotivators depending on the situation. So focusing on now and staying as healthy as possible and helping as many people around you, or at least inspiring as many people around you to be healthy,
Yeah.
that's the way to go.
Yeah. Doctor, I want to explore with you one pillar that for me it's so powerful, and I'm also tell my client all the time, you can swallow every pills possible, every supplements, doing all the practices, but I think relationships are basically one of the pillar for, let's call it longevity, let's call it a good life. What do you think about that?
We're social creatures is undoubtful. We thrive with each other. So we cannot be alone completely. So there's been so many studies over and over and over again at Harvard and as many other places that proved over and over again, including blue zones and
Yeah.
some of the number one things for contributing to healthy aging or happiness in general is the social environment that you're in. The number two is feeling useful, actually contributing. That's another thing that actually contribute to your health and well-being.
Yeah.
So it all boils down to where you are mentally. So having a purpose, having a supportive social environment is key. Being involved in it is key. That means having some sort of social responsibility, be it to inspire, be it to help. All of that contribute to your healthy aging.
Good. Good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through your ideal day as a biohacker?
Yeah. Oh my God. So again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but with me, it starts with my mind. So I keep electronics as far as away from me as I can, from 7 p.m. till about 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. So when you're waking up, you're not grabbing your phone
No,
immediately.
when I before I go to sleep, I don't. It's not even in my room. It's not
Okay.
near me. I'm not interested in it. That's key. I prioritize my sleep. Super important. I do small things that help to include the environment that is conducive for sleep, such as having red light bulbs in my room, using the right temperature, making sure that it's dark enough, no noise, air
Which is
purified.
the right temperature for sleeping?
So 18 to 20 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So it needs to be pretty cold because when we're cold, we fall asleep deeper and quicker, and you could stay asleep longer. I don't do any heavy meals late at night. I don't eat first thing in the morning. The first thing in the morning I do is I hydrate,
Yeah.
and then I go for a walk outside. Doesn't matter what's happening outside, rain or shine or heat or doesn't matter. It's important to be outside. I need to see trees. I need to see sand. I need to see nature. I need to see outside. If there's nothing to look at, I look at the sky.
Yeah.
There's always something. I try to see the sunrise.
Yeah.
That helps to reset my circadian rhythm. And then I do tons of movements, at least 2 hours of workout a day that I do between running, walking, HIIT, weightlifting, mobility, all sorts of things. So, and then my day starts. This is when I get reset. So I eat a good, healthy, protein-rich meal at the beginning. And then my day starts with all of the craziness that goes on in my day. And I make sure that I take breaks throughout the day. I make sure that I am in touch in the moment. And sometimes it could be in a situation like I'm doing right now, is making sure that I'm feeling the tips of
You're
my fingers.
present.
Yeah. So being here in the moment and then going to this place where all creativity comes from, where everything that matters, be it art, be it inspiration, some of the best things that humanity has created, it comes from this place that is inside, not necessarily from the brain directly. It's an inspiration. When someone has a talent to produce something that wows everyone, that doesn't come from the brain. It comes from another source. So trying to always tap into that source is really important for me. And that it's a nameless source. It's God, it's everything. I don't know what it is, but that source is the source of everything.
Yeah.
So I try to be in touch with that as much as I possibly can. I move. My desk is always standing. I try not to sit wherever unless it's rude.
Yeah.
And I try to finish work as early as possible, and I'm in bed by 8:30.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what are you most excited about when it comes to the future of biohacking? What do you think this is going?
I am very excited about the fact that there is so much interest in it.
Yeah.
So that means more and more people are finding out certain things. I find it difficult to meet someone, for example, that doesn't, have not considered one thing or the other. It could be something as simple as taking magnesium
Yeah.
or doing their blood test and finding out what they're deficient in, or working a little bit on their sleep or anything like that. So that excites me quite a bit because, as I said earlier, if one of us is sick, we are all sick. It is important that this is something that we do together. And the other perhaps is AI and the incredible source of information that's going to be for our health. I'm most excited about that it's shifting the responsibility of being healthy to the individual, as it should be, instead of the health system will take care of it, or
Yeah.
the hospital will, or the doctor will. It starts with me first.
Yeah.
Doctors have a role to play in the same way as a mechanic has a role to play for a car. But when you buy a car, you don't give it to the mechanic and say, take care of it.
Yeah.
So you take care of the car first. You wash it, you put gas in it, you treat it well, you keep it clean, all of that. But when it breaks down, you take it to a mechanic.
Yeah.
And you, as you're treating your car, you make sure that your car does not break down because you do all the right things for it. Most of us don't give that same courtesy to our own bodies. We don't listen to it. We don't take care of it. We put stuff on it that we don't even look at. If we're buying shoes, we shop for hours. But if you're buying shampoo or cream or makeup, we just pick up whatever is on the shelf and we splash it on our bodies.
Yeah.
So that change is super important from an AI perspective because it will educate us. It will bring down the research of, let's say, is this bad for me? Under these conditions for that, I would gather some more information. It would do quite a bit of research. So it will empower me to take back the responsibility of taking care of my health. And I think that I'm really excited about that future.
Okay, so now I need to ask, now that you brought it up, the question.
Oh my God.
So, how do you think AI will impact the wellness world?
I think it will play different roles. The first role, which I just mentioned, empowering individuals to take responsibility of their own health. And it will also help them to challenge wellness, well-being, doctors, any sort of practitioners, nutritionists, anyone. It will help them to challenge them to do better. Because it's not someone who's coming with you, because I don't like to call people patients, because patients, the origin of the word is someone who suffers.
Yeah.
So I work way before that.
Yeah.
It's to prevent it to start
prevent,
with.
yeah.
So clients, when they walk in, I want to see a world where a client comes in and knows exactly what to ask for and knows exactly what to demand from the practitioner or the person that is sitting in front of them. So empowering them in that way, challenging them to do better, challenging them to be more preventative, challenging to be more holistic, integrative, natural as much as possible, and be aware of the whole environment. And then from the business side of things, it will also help them to become better and process information better and all sorts of things like
So
that.
you see it in a very positive way.
I do, yes,
Okay.
I do.
Interesting. And I agree with you when you're saying that at the end of the day, you just need to support people in find their bioindividuality and knows exactly what works and doesn't for them, which is super powerful. Because even from my experience as a life coach and health coach, I always say I'm not here to tell you what to do every day or to just make you like fulfill your issues, and I'm here to make you discover what works for you, so then you can do it by yourself. I want to give you the tools to just understand what works and what doesn't for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Great, doctor. Thank you so much. I just want to ask you last question for all the listeners, and now I'm sure they're so curious about how they can reach out and where do you work, and so tell us where we can reach you out.
Like most people out there through social media, Elie.truth is my handle on Instagram.
Yeah.
And my company is Restore. And the program that I run to help people live longer, healthier lives is called Limitless Human.
Nice, nice. And you also have a clinic.
It's in Jumeirah 3, yes.
Okay,
correct.
nice. Where I've been, and he has a lot of like tools and practices and machines that you can explore,
Tests.
and
Yes.
tests. And I did it personally, and I personally love it. So perfect. Thank you so much,
Thank
Doctor,
you
for
for
being with
having me.
us.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, I hope you found the episode interesting, and I'll see you next time. Good.